did science go way too far? My husband told me he was just studying genetics for his PhD, when really he was secretly inseminating me with animal DNA to create hybrid offspring for black market buyers. My scientist husband, Max, had always treated me more like a lab specimen than a wife. He installed cameras throughout our house and would watch footage of me sleeping while taking notes about my biological rhythms. Max would give me vitamin supplements every morning that made me feel dizzy and nauseous, then study my reactions with excitement. When I asked why he needed so much biological data, Max would smile and say, "You're not just my wife, Claudia. You're my most valuable research asset, and assets need to be properly maintained and monitored." For my compliance, he paid me a large weekly stipend that meant I never had to work and could send plenty of money home to my family. I figured the salary was worth putting up with his experiment, but then Max announced that his research had progressed to the point where he needed to conduct fertility enhancement trials that would require my direct participation. Max told me that the experiments would be completely safe. "You'll be a hero to infertile women." My sister had struggled with infertility, so the idea of helping people like her convinced me to move forward. So for the next 6 months, Max subjected me to increasingly invasive procedures. He would sedate me during my fertile periods and perform what he called enhanced insemination procedures, using samples that he said came from carefully selected genetic donors. He gave me injections that made me violently ill and caused strange physical changes like increased hair growth, heightened senses, and an uncontrollable urge to eat raw meat with my hands. I started growling in my sleep and would wake up with bloody scratches on my arms that I didn't remember making. When I tried to ask Max about these changes, he would just smile and say, "These symptoms indicate that the trials are progressing exactly as predicted. Your body is adapting beautifully to the genetic modifications, and soon you'll be carrying something truly special." On the day my pregnancy test came back positive, he was so happy he sobbed, and I was glad that everything I'd suffered was going to be worth it. But that was before I found out the truth. One day I discovered Max's real research files, and my whole world came crashing down. Max had been inseminating me with genetic material from various animals, including dogs, cats, and even exotic species like wolves and cheetahs. The files revealed that he had made deals with wealthy collectors to sell them my hybrid offspring for their exotic home zoos. He'd make millions of dollars as soon as I successfully gave birth to a half-human, half-animal baby. When I confronted him about the truth, he didn't even try to deny it. He laughed and said, "I figured you knew. Did you really think I was trying to give you a normal human baby? Where's the scientific value in that? You should be honored, Claudia. Think of yourself as the mother of evolution." I realized then that the physical changes I'd been suffering were my body's desperate attempts to survive the hybrid fetuses. That's why teeth had fallen out and been replaced by sharp canines, why my fingernails had grown into claw-like extensions, and why the fetuses inside me had always felt like wild animals clawing to escape. I managed to escape while Max was at the university and went straight to the police, where I showed them the research files and told them about the illegal experiments. The officers were horrified and immediately arrested Max and his research associates. I felt incredible relief knowing that no more women would be subjected to his twisted experiments and that I'd be under the care of an actual doctor who could end this freakish pregnancy. But Max had connections in the scientific community who helped him claim that his research was legitimate and that I was a willing participant who had signed consent forms for experimental treatments. He hired expert witnesses who testified that genetic research often involved unconventional methods and that my pregnancy was the result of cutting-edge fertility treatments. Max's lawyers produced fake documentation showing that I had been paid for my participation, and they convinced the judge that I was trying to destroy his reputation. But everything fell apart for him when one of the wealthy collectors who had agreed to pay millions for my hybrid offspring was arrested in an unrelated federal investigation. With no buyer for the products, Max completely lost interest in me and said coldly, "You're worthless now, Claudia. I never gave a damn about scientific advancement. I just wanted the money, and now there's no point in keeping you around." He was so depressed over losing his payout that he gave up fighting the charges against him. He was convicted of human trafficking, illegal genetic experimentation, and conspiracy, while I underwent specialized medical procedures to terminate the hybrid pregnancies safely. I'm now divorced and trying to recover from the physical and psychological trauma of being used as a breeding experiment, but I still have nightmares about giving birth to creatures that weren't fully human. Every time I have a stomachache, I feel like there's something alive inside me, trying to break out.